Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Gul Zahra, here to bring in this breakdown session courtesy of the KIP CSS network. I hope that this video reaches you in good health and spirits. So, when we are predicting, analyzing any change in the geopolitics of the world, there is one factor that as of right now should be included most of all and should be given a very prominent position. That is climate change. Climate change has the capacity to exacerbate already pre-existing conditions in a geopolitical crisis and also accelerate any conflict to its breaking point. So, rising sea levels, increases in frequency, and the severity of extreme climate events and temperature changes invariably places an added stress on the very fabric of a state. The resources that play a very critical role in the stability of any state, they are basically water, food, and energy systems, to name a few. The most important of them all is water. Now, water stress has been and will be the prime driving force behind any geopolitical crisis. Today, we are going to be talking about a few examples about this and also conduct a brief analysis of how water stress and climate change in general can affect and, as I've said before, exacerbate a geopolitical crisis. When left unmanaged, any of these natural disasters or any of these natural calamities can catalyze some, you can say, unwanted effects like population displacement, migration, and domestic or regional conflict, which thereby then later on leads to state collapse. So, as I've said before, that what we're going to be discussing most of all today is how water stress can affect the geopolitics of any state and also exacerbate any existing preconditions. So, the risk basically जो एक रिस्क है वो तो है ही है कि आपके पास क्लाइमेट चेंज की वजह से ह्यूमन एग्जिस्टेंस जो है वो दैट इज़ गोइंग टू बी इफेक्टेड. ठीक है, नॉट ओनली दैट, ये रिस्क कंपाउंड हो जाती है बाय द फैक्ट दैट करंट गवर्नमेंट्स ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, इवन इन डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, इवन इन अंडर डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज, दे डू नॉट हैव द कैपेसिटी टू टेक क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड इट्स इफेक्ट्स हेड ऑन. And the ability and inability of a particular government to take care of this particular situation can cause a lot of problems. As I've said before, mass migration, conflict, and a lot of other security concerns as well, especially food security. Countries that use state resources to control the loyalty of its own citizens, like countries like, for example, in Africa we have Sudan, South Sudan, and even Nigeria, which are oil-rich countries, yet do not factor that much into the global economy. In the same way, we have countries like the UAE, we have Saudi Arabia, we have the Gulf states that have a lot of oil, a lot of natural resource that they use to cement their position into the global arena. Once they are once they run out of these resources, once climate change or once this particular resource that they're using is affected because of climate change, they lose their credibility, they lose their grip on the populace, and once that happens, conflict is a given. So, resource conflict के बारे में अब हम बात करेंगे. Basically, what is resource conflict? Resource conflict is conflict that arises out of the improper distribution of resources, where one populace feels that their particular resource, for example, the most common that जिसके ऊपर conflicts होते हैं, that is water, and then the second is food. जब एक पॉपुलेस को ये फील होता है कि आप दे डू नॉट हैव एक्सेस टू दैट पर्टिकुलर रिसोर्स और दे आर बीइंग कंस्ट्रेंड और रिस्ट्रिक्टेड फ्रॉम दैट पर्टिकुलर रिसोर्स, व्हाट वी हैव इज मैसिव अनरेस्ट. नॉट ओनली दैट, ये अनरेस्ट पहले कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में ट्रांसलेट नहीं होता है. नो, what happens is when a particular group of people or a particular part of a country is water stressed or is food stressed, what happens is these people migrate from from these areas. Mass urban migration hoti hai from these stressed areas to areas that might provide more food and more water for their needs. In the Syrian crisis, हम लोगों को ये पता है क्या about the Arab Spring and how how the people in Syria later on arose against Bashar al-Assad and tried to topple his government. What we do not know is the reasons behind that. Mass and unemployment is cited as one of the major driving reasons behind the conflict in Syria. But how did that happen? Most parts of Syria are dry. They do not have enough water to support their own populace. And during this time period, from 2011 onwards, there was such severe drought in these you can say in these rural areas of Syria, that there was a mass migration of people from these rural areas towards the urban areas, like cities like Damascus, the capital, and other parts of Syria as well that were way more developed than these rural regions. Now, these urban regions were suddenly faced with an influx of a lot of people seeking food, shelter, and water. Now, what happened was because of the mass migration of people into these urban centers, what happened was mass unemployment as well, because these people had left a lot of livelihood behind them. Okay? Livelihood to kya tha? There wasn't any water to support their agricultural practices, and when they came into the cities, they were faced with mass unemployment because they did not have the particular skill set or any other skill set to help them assimilate into an urban environment. So you see, आइडियोलॉजी जो है वो ऑन द सर्फेस, या आपके पास जो पॉलिटिकल डिफरेंसेस हैं ऑन द सर्फेस, दे आर कंसिडर्ड एज अ ड्राइविंग फोर्स, बट कहीं ना कहीं एट द रूट ऑफ डिस्कॉर्ड इज resource conflict. So we have an other example, a very pertinent example over here, that is from Somalia, that how can water resources and how can food resources be controlled to incite terror in the hearts of the people that live in that particular place. In Somalia in 2011, several severe droughts were linked to climate change happened. During this time period, the jihadist fundamental group Al-Shabaab that operated inside Somalia tried and succeeded to take control of several key, you can say, several key water resources of cities that they otherwise could not take militarily. But in the resultant chaos, about 250,000 deaths happened because they had controlled the water resources, and whosoever was not loyal to them or whosoever did not swear allegiance to this particular fundamentalist group, they were deprived of water. That resulted in hundreds of thousands of displaced people, and as of right now, because of the resultant conflict, 250,000 deaths. Now, another pertinent example concerning migration, that how water resources and how food scarcity can result towards mass migration. ये तो हम ऑलरेडी जानते हैं कि climate refugees जो है वो मौजूद हैं all over the world. They are escaping inhospitable conditions, they're escaping drought, they're escaping food shortages, they're escaping they're escaping resource conflict basically. लेकिन अगर हम बात करते हैं लैटिन अमेरिका की, political violence is cited to be a primary factor of the increase in arrivals on the US southern border. लेकिन जानने की बात यह है कि between 2010 and 2015, the majority of the immigrants seeking shelter inside the US came from three particular countries: El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. Now, during this time period from 2010 to 2015, there was a dry spell that drove nearly more than 500,000 people away from their homes in Honduras alone. Most of them found their way towards the US. So you see, political violence though is on the surface, इसका narrative on the surface है, लेकिन the prime driving factor behind these mass migrations from Latin America, particularly from these three countries, during the time period from 2010 to 2015 and now onwards as well, is the dry spell that they were facing. So you see, water stressing and water shortages and the resultant food scarcity can contribute to a lot of geopolitical tensions as well. अब सीरिया की वजह से अब सीरिया के कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आपको पता है कि इट इज़ नाउ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट important geopolitical crises inside the Middle East. Not only that, the resultant unrest uh, inside Africa, inside Sudan, South Sudan, inside Somalia, as I've said before, that it is one huge facet of the whole picture. That climate change and its resultant discrepancies are forcing people to move, and is also handing ammunition towards fundamentalist groups, thereby exacerbating geopolitical tensions. So, अगर हम बात करते हैं inside South Asia as well, particularly that of India. इंडिया में आपको पता है कि इंडिया हैज़ ऑलवेज बीन इन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट विद पाकिस्तान ओवर द इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी. Do you know that why that one of the most prime concerns that India has with China, they are also water? The headworks of the Brahmaputra and the Ganges River, they both start in China. China basically controls the headworks or the source of these two main rivers of India. There's a reason why that India is always harping about water. That is because they believe that any exacerbation or any change in the geopolitical climate of this particular region might result in China cutting off their water supply. And this tactic China has used in its history. Not in the modern world basically, but in its ancient history, quite a number of successful times. अगर हम चेन्नई की बात करते हैं इनसाइड इंडिया, इनसाइड साउथ इंडिया बेसिकली, चेन्नई इज़ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट वाटर स्ट्रेस्ड regions, or the most water stressed city inside India. Due to a low number or due to a low amount of monsoon rainfalls in 2017, what happened was that Chennai found itself without water overnight. Water was being imported, as you would say, from Delhi, from Mumbai, from Bengaluru, and people and the people in Chennai found themselves at a crossroads of sorts, and massive discord and between neighborhoods started, and there's a reason why that Chennai is now lobbying for a larger water share from its counterparts. Not only that, इंडिया के जो एग्रीकल्चरल एरियाज़ हैं, इंडिया के जो एग्रीकल्चरल आउटपुट है, दैट अकाउंट्स फॉर अबाउट 15% ऑफ इंडियाज़ GDP, बट India's agriculture water usage accounts for about 80% of its water usage. So, poor agricultural practices inside India are predominantly inside India, are creating a kind of chaos that can inherently weaken its already you can say unstable position inside the geopolitical arena of South Asia. Already we know that Modi is trying to drive you can say media campaign to boost India's image yet again in this region. But as we all know that that is not going to happen so easily. But that I digress. The thing is that climate change affects the very fabric of human society. And humans in general are more geared towards protecting themselves than protecting others. तो पानी के ऊपर, वाटर स्कैसिटी के ऊपर, फूड स्कैसिटी के ऊपर आगे हम इंशाल्लाह तो नहीं कहना चाहिए, लेकिन आगे what we are going to be seeing is a huge exacerbation of an already existing crisis. अब अगर हम बात करते हैं ईरान और अफ़गानिस्तान की, 1973 में इन दोनों कंट्रीज़ ने एक डील साइन की थी जिसके अंदर वाटर शेयरिंग करेंगे ओवर द हेलमंद रिवर एंड द हेरात रिवर एज वेल. नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ इंडियाज़ और hydroelectric dams that it has provided towards Afghanistan, two of them which have been built over the Helmand River, Iran has recently started raising concerns over the usage of water on the Helmand River. Now, because of that, Afghanistan is very leery of Iran trying to control, or in the near future, Iran might try to control the Helmand River, because Iran, as we all know, that Iran already has some kind of, you can say, a lobby inside the Taliban as well, and has supported the Taliban in the past. या जो है उन्होंने लॉजिस्टिकल सपोर्ट दी है और दे हैव प्रोवाइडेड मॉनेटरी बेनिफिट्स दैट डज स्टिल रिमेन टू बी इन्वेस्टिगेटेड एंड सीन बट इट इज़ अ प्राइम पॉसिबिलिटी दैट in a future when water is scarce, a geopolitical situation that is already very precarious between Iran and Afghanistan right now might just turn into a fireball. So, in conclusion, water scarcity and climate change are the secondary and third order effects of climate change, and they might be secondary and third order effects. Lekin their implications for geopolitical security or the geopolitics or a geopolitical crisis is very much a concern for analysts and for people, common people like us. Because what is a future without water and what is a future without food? And if these are not available for any citizen or if they're not available for a certain class of people, what we would see over a period of time is a devolution of the social fabric and a devolution of states where each man fights for himself. So, this is all for today. I hope that this has been enlightening for you. The transcript of the lecture will be provided on the drop down box. So, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.